So I want to give y'all part 2 of the priest mantle, and how, in scripture, Yahuah makes it very clear the role of the priest. As natural branches and grafted in, we are all called to be a nation of priests, meaning that our job is to know and distinguish between the clean and the unclean, the holy and the profane. Like, what has Yah established as holy, and then being able to teach and show and help others walk through their sanctification and the surrendering to Yah's word, will, and ways. And so, like I told y'all before, I am a nanny and I'm a house manager. And so this week and last week, I've been dealing with a very sick, snotty 2-year-old who's also very cranky. And it made me think about how we are to be when we are dealing with those who are sick, cranky, and are being treated with love, patience, care, all the fruits of the spirits, right? You'll be doing all that, moving all the fruits of the spirit, and they will still kick and scream and pretend like you're killing them. And so there's this one time I had picked up the 2-year-old and I asked him, hey, stop kicking, you're gonna hurt yourself. Just stand up, you need to walk to the bathroom to go sit on the potty. And he was just saying no, he didn't want to do it. And so in the midst of him kicking and throwing a tantrum and falling all out, he ends up stepping back onto my toe, but it ends up hurting him. And he's crying. I'm just like, see what happens when we fight against what we're supposed to do, when we throw a tantrum? And he was just like, yes. I'm like, so next time when we say do something, we listen, right? He was like, yes. In the midst of still crying, it made me think about how Yah will tell us that we need to do something, do it his way, right? And then we'll kick and we'll scream and we'll whine. And in the midst of him just literally simply standing there holding us, not moving his standard, not moving what he said, you hurt yourself. Whether that be the consequences of your actions, whether that be feeling shame and guilt because you went to reject conviction, whether that be we end up hurting ourselves all kinds of ways. And y'all is just like, I'm not changing my mind. I'm going to stand here firmly on what I've established, and you're going to hurt yourself against it. It makes me think of Yahuah saying, like, the chief cornerstone has now become the cornerstone where they, they end up hurting themselves, or that cornerstone is going to basically, they're going to smash themselves into the cornerstone because the cornerstone don't move. It just made me think of that. But in the midst of all of that, still being compassionate, loving, and kind to this young child, this babe, this person, I'm interchanging like what really happened and also like spiritual connections. The person's still new in faith. Yah doesn't change his mind. So therefore, I'm not changing my teaching. I'm not changing my sayings, because all my sayings are the Father's standard. And I can still love you by standing firm in what the Father said. Like the standard, his word, the rock don't move. It don't change. And so it just made me think of that, how just like even in the midst of you hurting yourself against the standard, even you wailing and throwing a tantrum against what the standard and the word of Yahuah is and says, it's not going to change. And either you're going to hurt yourself from, or you're going to learn from the last time you rebelled and was flailing about like a child. And you'll learn your lesson and you won't do so the next time. But just made me think about that. And so as priests, to know that you have to have patience, loving, kindness, long-suffering, temperance when dealing with those who are in a state of like still very much moving in their flesh, but wanting to learn to do better. Because that's what toddlers and 2-year-olds are. They're like little people. They're little people. They're like us. They go based off of their fleshly desires, but as they mature, as they grow, as they learn, as they are taught to not make everything a flesh emotional response, and to know that there are rules and standards in the way that we do things in this house that you're going to have to learn how to do. And if you can't learn, you're going to hurt yourself against the rules, against the standard. I hope that made sense. But yeah.